Okay, Google. How are you today?
Awesome, thanks. How can I help?
Well, you can deliver coffee.
Welcome to AT Banter, the podcast where we discuss anything and everything regarding the world of assistive technology. With our hosts, Steve Barkley, Rob Minot, and Ryan Fleury. Now, let's banter.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of AT Banter.
Banter.
I am Rob Minot, and today, as per usual, I am joined by Steve Barkley.
Howdy do.
And Ryan Fleury.
Hi.
Whoa.
A little bit of a pause there.
Need the crickets chirping.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I should really get that
should.
sound effect.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
How are you guys today?
I'm wide awake.
Yeah.
I'm good.
It's we're recording the day after Father's Day, so there was a lot of whiskey yesterday.
And how was your garage sale?
The garage sale went well.
Yep. Make a ton of money?
Nope. But we got a bunch of crap out of our house, which is far more important.
Yeah.
Because the deal is, anything that doesn't sell at the garage sale, you load into the car and you drive it to Value Village.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I should have come by.
You should have.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could have been a proud owner of some of my crap.
I've always wanted some of your crap.
Well, you get plenty of it on this show.
True dat.
You had 15 years of his crap. You want more?
Yeah, give me more. Can never get enough. Hey, Ryan.
Rob.
What are we doing today?
Today we are interviewing Jessica Rickards, who is a host of Cool Blind Tech.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I have to say I really like Cool Blind Tech. We're on their Twitter, and they're always posting really good news stories. They always seem to be really on top of what's going on, and so it'll be great to talk to somebody from the team.
Oh, their podcasts are good too, and they're releasing them quite frequently, so there's always new content to be had.
And I like their idea of how they will pick they will each pick a cool technology and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty cool. We should really rip that idea off. We should try to poach Jessica, right? Hey, so how much is Cool Blind Tech paying you?
Well, ask her.
You can come work for us for free.
Yeah, ask her.
That's right.
Well, that'll be good. I'm looking forward to talking to her. Anything else going on in the world that we need to talk about before we launch into that?
Yeah, there were a whole bunch of tweets that went out today from Bristol. What's their name? Bristol Braille Technology. They're the guys working on that full page Braille reader.
Mm.
Who just said okay?
I don't know.
Oh, my phone just said okay. I don't know why it said okay, but we'll say
sorry,
okay.
Bristol. Sorry, who are they and what are they working on?
Bristol Braille. I believe it's called Bristol Braille Technology. They're working on a full page 40 line or 40 cell by. I think it's 40 cell by 9 line Braille display.
Right.
That they're saying is going to retail for somewhere on the order of 700 to 800 pounds, British pounds.
Right.
So that would be what?
About $1,600 or something.
Yeah. So pretty reasonable price for a multi-line Braille display for reading.
Are they new? Like, is this a new company?
This is a company that's been developing this product for I think a couple of years now. They're supposed to come to market either the end of this year or the beginning of next.
I'm still waiting for the Orbit to be released so we can get somebody on the show to talk about that too.
Yeah, that's weird that they're still
A year behind almost.
Yeah, because
That's not a good sign.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of people who've prepaid for units and don't have units yet. So
Yeah.
And that'll be a shame if that actually kind of falls off the wagon, because that was a really reasonable priced device. I mean, that's kind of what they were selling it. That was one of the main selling points, was that it was it was finally something that was reasonably priced. But that could very well be what the delay is, that they're having some issues bringing it in at that price.
maybe, perhaps.
It's my theory.
We'll see.
Are you thinking of picking that line up, the Bristol Braille?
Oh, I'd love to. A multi-line Braille display? Are you kidding? I think that'd be a huge hit in education for sure, particularly at that price point.
Yeah, for sure. Ryan, get on the phone.
Oh, I've already been in touch.
Oh, never mind.
I did reach out to Neil Gaiman's media people.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Haven't heard back.
No?
Not
Yeah?
yet.
No interest, eh? It's
Not
weird.
yet.
Come on, come and talk to us about, we'll talk about American Gods.
Yeah, another couple weeks I'll harass him again.
Yeah. Good plan.
That'd be funny if we get Neil Gaiman and we can't get Rick Hansen.
All right. Well, that's enough bantering for now. Let's go ahead and bring our guest on. So Jessica Rickards is one of the co-hosts and contributors over at Cool Blind Tech, which, for those who aren't aware of it, is an incredible tech news podcast and website that discusses all the latest and greatest assistive technology for people who are visually impaired. Jessica, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on.
So tell us a little bit about some of your background and just kind of what brought you into the accessibility field.
Well, I actually have been working with assistive technology since I was very young, since I was about 8 years old, and that would be about 20 years-ish. So, yeah, I've been working with assistive technology for quite some time, been teaching assistive technology for, goodness, it's been almost 10 years now.
Wow.
Like, almost, yeah. 9 years. Yeah, 9 years that I've been teaching it, and I've been interacting in the field of assistive technology since I was in high school, so for even longer than that. So I used to help my paraprofessionals in the field set up computers at their sites and things like that because I was like the AT expert. So I've been in the AT field for a long time. And so for me, really AT is my life. It's one of those things that I don't necessarily go looking for new tech. I just kind of do with what I have. And, I like to go for the more mainstream option when I can, because I feel like, tech should be made accessible rather than, having to go for the more accessible option if possible. So I try to adapt my own technology to fit the needs that I have. So that's been kind of my approach in life, but that's because I've been in the field for so long.
So now, when you say that you've been working with assistive technology since you were like 8, does that mean like so you've been using it since then as well
Yes.
as working with it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I've been using it since then. I used to have an old Braille and Speak Braille Light 40 when I was 9. I had a Braille Light 40, and I used to. I wanted to learn BASIC back then. Actually, I learned how to code BASIC, but I didn't get into. I was still like, the language is just a little bit above my head. But I was just starting to get into the old games that they used to have for it and try to figure out how to make more. And then, of course, technology changed right as I was getting into it, and we got new and better tech and all that good stuff. So. I've been on top of the AT field and been using Windows since Windows 95. So I hadn't really touched the Apple side of things though until iOS, and I got into that in 2008.
Yeah, it's funny. Like the last 20 years of assistive technology, it's actually been a really exciting 20 years, certainly more so than the previous 20 years, in that some of the leaps forward have been like substantial, especially, with the advent of smartphones and touchscreens and stuff. That's where the game really changed.
Pocket tech.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it was interesting because you look back, and when I was in school, I used to carry around all these big, hefty Braille books, and as time went on, by the end of my high school career, I was maybe carrying 1 or 2 Braille books and a cartridge of digital books. And the cartridge was still like a flash card, which now it would be an SD card. But back then it was like a 16 gigabyte flash card that was probably like 5 or 6 times the thickness of a SD card.
Right.
Those old ones that went in the cameras, and I had one of those book port things.
Compact flash.
And so I used to put like 5 or 6 books on a flash card and carry those around versus, 1 or 2 volumes of one textbook in my backpack at a time. So, I mean, it really, technology in my lifetime changed quite a bit, and it's really been revolutionary to experience the changes and to be able to walk people through these changes. A lot of the older generation, it's been interesting to see how they've taken it because, a lot of people are like, this is just too fast, too much too fast. Some people, they're able to take these changes and go, this is great. Now I have all these great new tools. So it's been neat to see how this evolution has impacted people.
Absolutely. And could you tell us a little bit about your own visual impairment then?
I'm actually born blind. I have septo-optic dysplasia, so it's an optic nerve underdevelopment. I have some light perception in one eye. Other than that, I don't really see anything. Yeah. I've been a Braille reader since I was 3, so I really am a heavy Braille advocate.
Excellent. Well, you'll fit in great around here because we are too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about, say, the daily sort of assistive technology that you use these days on a daily basis.
These days, I love my Braille displays. I've got quite a few of them. My husband has one of mine that he's learning Braille on right now, and that's the Refresher Braille 18. And then I currently use my HIMS Braille Sense U2 Mini. And so I have that, and then I have the, I have the Perkins Mini Seika that I have as a demo unit. It's not the best, but I wanted to see what the Perkins was all about, so I grabbed that. I use an HP laptop occasionally, but if I could, I would not use a laptop at all because I am on my phone a lot. I have an iPhone 7, but I'm thinking about switching to the Android universe someday soon.
Do it.
All right.
One of us.
One of us. One of us.
I would love to. Because I had just got this iPhone like last year and kind of tied into it. So I figure I'll keep this one until it dies, and then when it dies, I'll get the Android.
Yeah, well, you absolutely should. I mean, especially after watching Google I/O. I don't know if you guys were tuned into that for the show, but some of the stuff that they're coming out with, Google Lens especially, pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, they're both coming out with some incredible stuff, which is neat to see. And I'm glad that Apple's catching up. I was about to be very disappointed with Apple if they didn't start to catch up, but at least they're trying.
But that's kind of the nice thing though too about having you've got Apple, you've got Google, and you've got Microsoft, and they're all sort of, I wouldn't say they're competing against each other, but in a way I guess they are, and that competition is good. It's healthy for the industry because it
forces innovation.
Absolutely.
It does. And the funny part is I've got all of their devices in my house. I have an Apple device. I've got a Microsoft computer, I've got Windows. I've got an Amazon Fire tablet, an Echo Dot, and a Google Home speaker. So I've got all of their devices in my house.
Sounds like my basement.
Yep, it's all there.
Yeah, it's awesome, and it's only getting better and better. Like every year, they seem to really be breaking new ground. So I think AT is more exciting now than it's ever been before.
Definitely, it's a great time to be in the AT field.
Rob didn't mention our other guest hosts that we've got on the show too. Yeah, we're all geared up. We're doing a podcast on
The Google Home.
the Google Home.
After this one.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we're all hooked up. If you want to ask Google Home anything, you can.
Perfect.
You can just do the
Okay, Google.
tell us a joke.
This might make you laugh. How do you get over a fear of elevators? Just take some steps to avoid them.
Oof.
See, and Google Home can also play cool blind tech podcasts. Like, hey Google, play cool blind tech on Google Play.
Okay, check out this cool James and Black Teacher radio mix on
Hey, Google.
Play Music.
Hey Google, stop. Stop. Hey Google. Okay Google.
Okay, Google. Shh.
Stop.
So they need to work. There's some bugs.
They do need
There's
to
some
work
bugs
on
there.
this.
But we tried the same thing. We've been trying to play our podcast on it, and we.
What's
It's
really
iffy.
funny is my Echo Dot.
I think
will
you
play.
actually have to say play the latest episode of, and then it'll play it.
Well, it's
Because
I was just gonna say it's interesting because I can't get the Google Home to play our podcast, but my Echo Dot will through TuneIn. So it's
yeah,
strange.
you should be able to do it through Google Play. You just have to tell it, I think, play the latest episode of,
Right.
and you say the name of the podcast,
Yeah, I
and it
think,
should do it. It's all about the wording. With
It
these
is.
assistants nowadays, right?
yeah.
Where were we? What were we talking about?
Exciting time. to be an
Exciting
AT.
time for AT. Yes, that's a good segue to talk a little bit about your podcast, which is Cool Blind Tech. So, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with them.
Yeah, so I actually was a guest on their show a few years back, actually, back in, I want to say it was like 2012 or 2013. I'm trying to remember the year off the top of my head now. But I actually was working for another company called Blind Access Training, and I was doing some AT training at the time, and so I came on as a spotlight. And then they said, hey, do you want to be a part of our VIP? And I said, well, sure, why not? And then I kept in contact with them. And like a couple years later, they get in touch with me and they said, hey, do you want to be a part of our team? You could maybe do some writing. And I said, sure. Well, I start doing some writing and they're like, you would actually make a great podcaster. And I said, really? I don't have any experience in this. I have no audio technical expertise whatsoever. I've never edited anything. I've touched Audacity maybe twice. I was messing around with audio sound files just to make ringtones and play around with like music tracks. And I do a lot of karaoke stuff, so I messed around with that. But I've never like edited podcasts or done any of that. So I was like, are you sure you want me podcasting? And they said, well, sure. We don't need people who know how to do audio. We just need people that that actually know what they're talking about. And so I came on the show and started, doing spotlights and VIPs and stuff. And that was a couple years ago. And it's been great. We've had a lot of fun. Have a lot of great team members. Rachel, Tommy, Joel. Joel's our audio guy. He does all the editing, and so does Nelson. Nelson's our main the owner of Cool Blind Tech, and he's does a lot of the articles now, but it used to be James. He does a lot of the spotlights too between me and James. So it's been really good. Being on part of the team.
So how big is the team?
There's 7 of us.
And
Let's
are you guys all spread out all over the country?
There's it used to be a couple of us from Canada. Now there's only one from Canada, and everybody else is in the US.
Did you guys used to be called Blind Cool Tech?
Nope.
Okay.
But everybody tries to call us that.
Yeah, I thought there was a
There's
podcast years ago.
There's another company that I don't know if they're even still around. I don't think they're even around anymore.
That's where the confusion must have come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a blind cool tech, but it wasn't us.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about how you guys format the different shows, like because you mentioned a VIP and you mentioned a spotlight. Can you explain to us like what the difference between the two are?
Okay, so VIPs are kind of like your tech news highlights for the week. So we usually try to do 3 or 4 articles that come out, or tidbits from the week before, or the past couple weeks that we've noticed in tech, and try to highlight those and give our views on them. And we usually have 3 or 4 people on the show, sometimes 2, depending on who all can make that particular VIP. And then we'll add in some cool picks. So those are things that we on the team feel are neat contributions to assistive technology. So an app, or it could be a device, or it could be some sort of gadget that we've got. So I even had my Instapot as a cool pick one time, because that was my cool new kitchen appliance that I got for my wedding, actually. And so that's the VIP. The spotlight is an interview with an individual, or a couple individuals, whoever can make it. It's usually one individual at a time from a company, and usually we'll try to get the CEO, or we'll try to get we'll try to get a manager of some kind from the company, and we will highlight what that company does and what they're about, and we will provide links for the listeners to find more information about that company. And we'll sometimes do a follow-up interview with the company about where they're at or where they're going from when we last spoke with them.
And how often do you guys do one? Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat today.
Yeah, I keep telling you not to eat those things.
Sorry. And I'm out of coffee. That's a terrible thing. How often do you guys run the show?
Okay, so VIPs, we try to run those about once a week, and spotlight interviews we try to put out once a week as well. And those we try to have enough content to do that, but sometimes it'll be like once every other week.
Do you guys generally get things from companies to talk about? Like, do they ever send you demo equipment, or do they ever send the show prototypes and stuff for you guys to play with so that you can talk about it on the show?
We don't often get review units, and we don't ask for review units, but sometimes a company will voluntarily send us something so that we can review it for them. And we usually try to make sure that if a company does that, it's not going to be something that they're asking a positive review of or anything. We want to make sure that it's an impartial review, because on our show we try to approach everything from an unbiased perspective. So like, for example, we had a company approach us for the 6-dot label maker, and that's really been the only recent one that we've had of a review unit, along with the Braille Coach, which is they're both from Logan Tech.
Right.
So we just recently had that happen, but most of the time we really don't get review units.
Yeah, it can be tricky. I mean, I think we kind of ran into the same issue, in terms of talking about product, where it can be a really fine line between, being able to be impartial and to talk about any given device's, pros and cons. And that can be tough when you're entering into an actual, business relationship with a different company.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'd rather just have, Excuse me.
See, my frog jumped into your throat.
Jeez, what's going on with these frogs? Hang on.
There's beer in the fridge.
Yay, beer.
Dude, it's 11.
It's not even noon yet.
5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, I think if we were dealing with manufacturers, I think I'd rather have a rep come and do a pitch rather than do a review.
Yeah, that's true.
It's unless you really go into some depth on the product and really hammer away at it, it's hard to do a really good review. And, you know, if you do a bad review, they're never coming back.
Well, they might. All right, let's see. Okay, so now let me ask you this. In, say, the last 6 months, what piece of tech have you guys looked at that has really wowed you?
Okay, so, wow. There's been quite a few. Okay, let me think on this one for a second here.
No problem. Ryan, sing Jeopardy music.
No, we need the cricket sound.
No, because there's just so much technology that
Maybe 6 months was too much of a.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a.
Now, see, for me, I could tell you which one that I would really want.
Sure.
That I definitely do not have yet.
Okay, give us Jessica's Christmas
list. I really want the Dot Watch.
Oh.
Because it's the only Braille smartwatch out there. And it definitely seems like it's a viable option. And from what I've heard so far, it's definitely a neat concept. And it's out there, and it's workable, and it's doable. And I'm definitely for anything Braille. So, I mean, a lot of people like the Apple Watch, but I like the fact that you could probably use it on any platform that you go to. So,
and who makes that?
Dot Incorporated, actually.
Interesting. I don't think I'm really familiar with it.
No, I'm not either.
Ryan, have you heard of it?
I think I've heard of it and looked at it online, but that's been a while now.
Interesting.
Wasn't there a Kickstarter that was similar to that, or
there was something on it, but now they're back ordered. Now they've got so many that they are actually waiting. There's a waiting list for them.
That's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, very cool. Anything else? Or okay, well, let me ask you this too. Like, it must be hard covering all this really cutting edge technology and not be like, oh my God, I really want that.
Yes. Yes, like the Galaxy S8 is the next one that I'm thinking about getting for a phone. And yet nice. I'm like, I know that by the time I actually buy a new phone, there'll be another great one out there.
Yep.
Because
Google's releasing another Pixel probably this fall.
Yep. And so I'm like, by the time we're ready for new phones, we will have even better phones. And so that's why I'm like, if I hold out for the next new piece of technology, then we'll be just fine.
The problem is it changes so quickly. You could be holding out forever and never upgrade, right? So
it really does, and that's why I'm like, if I keep my device until it breaks itself, then I will know that it's time for a new piece of technology.
Well, you can just drop it.
Well, I could, but
accidentally step on it.
But see, I've dropped this thing so many times; it still hasn't broken. So
testament to
I don't
Apple.
have it in a water or OtterBox case.
So drop it in water.
Nope,
That's
they're
the key.
waterproof.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They are.
Oh yeah. Good on Apple. You have to give it to Apple for that. Their design is rock solid.
Throw it in the microwave for 2 minutes.
For 2 minutes.
On high. That'll kill it.
Did you see that thing going around on social media about how you could put your own headphone jack into the
I
iPhone?
saw that. I saw that, and I looked at it on YouTube, and it was funny because it definitely wasn't true. but you know that somebody would believe it.
People did it. Yeah, people did it.
People did it.
Yeah, they're actually sitting there drilling
Drilling
holes.
holes.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. It was instructions, like, because everybody was so mad that there was no headphone jack on the
Right,
phone,
right.
right? So these guys came out with this little spoof video that says, "Oh yeah, if you just drill a hole right here, you can just stick your headphones into it." And all of these people drilled their phones.
Oh no.
That's funny.
Yeah, killed them dead.
Yep. Yeah, that was bad.
So it was interesting. Last week we had Quentin Christensen on, who is one of the trainers for NVDA.
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of had an interesting discussion with him about just kind of about the state of screen readers in the marketplace today. What screen reader do you generally use on a day-to-day basis?
You know, to be honest, I flip between them, but on my computer, because I work for the state, I have to use JAWS at some point.
Right.
Because if I don't, I will not be up with what the consumers are using. So I tend to use JAWS more, even though I find that it crashes way too often. And it's really frustrating to use. So I do have NVDA in the background on my computer. Like I have it to where it's installed, but I don't have it start up automatically. Also have, I used to use System Access a long time ago. And that I found to be interesting because you could actually custom label web pages. So that was kind of cool. And you could do that now with the others, but they came out with that way before JAWS even did it.
Yeah, they even offered that technology to all the other screen reading companies because they figured it would be a really powerful tool for the community. None of them took them up on it.
Yep.
I wonder actually how often it actually got used and that people actually knew it was there.
Yeah, it was really a neat tool, and I actually helped them because when Windows 10 came out, it wasn't accessible to any of the screen readers except for SA, and even JAWS was having issues, and I actually helped them with some of their technical support troubleshooting on that. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems to me that at least, I think if you fast forward 5 years or so, I mean, I can't see JAWS really having a place in the marketplace other than with like large companies and institutions that sort of mandate.
I feel like Narrator will catch up by then, and I feel like we're going to see Narrator actually become a main screen reader by then.
Fingers crossed. I mean, hopefully.
Yeah, because they have enough tools now built in natively in Windows 10 that if the government agencies would actually get themselves together, that I think if people start learning Narrator, you can do a lot of cool stuff with it, at least on native Windows applications.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's really what we're shooting for. I mean, that's the goal, is that when you buy a computer, anybody should be able to plug it in and use it, whether whether they can see or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Preaching to the choir.
But I mean, so, a $1,200 screen reader, I just, I don't see a place for it in the marketplace in the next few years.
Don't get me started on that.
No, I agree.
Well, I was listening to the latest FS cast, and I'm going to go there. I went there last week.
Go
I'll
there
again.
Go there, Ryan.
NFB.
You
and
actually listen to those?
once in a while, yes, because I'm a fan of Jonathan Mosen, so.
And every now and then he drinks rye and he likes to get furious.
That's right. So my big rant is I've been a JAWS user for 20 years. It's my go-to screen reader on a day-to-day basis. On the latest FS cast at NFB and ACB, they're offering a brand new license of JAWS Home for $125. After these shows, that price goes up to $1,000. That's robbery. Yet people don't scream and shout. It just drives me absolutely batty.
I don't understand it. Like that makes no sense.
It's criminal.
Now, I heard that they're starting to do a payment
by criminal
plan
he means
system.
not very nice. Let's keep the lawyers out of this.
So what were you saying, Jessica?
Now I heard they're starting to offer a payment plan system. Like
Right.
I heard that there is a way, instead of having to pay this like insane amount of money up front, that you could either buy a JAWS license outright, or you could do a payment plan, or you could actually like do a sort of rent to own type deal.
Do you know if that's available to everybody or just U.S. residents?
I don't know, but I heard they were talking about doing options like that because Window Eyes used to have it and SA has it.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, they're going to have to do something. I mean, it's still shocking to me that their price point for that screen reader has not dropped in
years
ever. Like, I don't think
at
it's
least
ever
20 years.
It's ever dropped. and I think a lot of it is because they don't feel that they've never had to. But there's just too much competition out there. I mean, it also used to be that there was really JAWS, and there was, I guess, Window Eyes was around, but that was kind of it. They didn't really have any competition. It used to be
JAWS and Window Eyes, and that was it. Those were your two choices.
And there were no baked-in accessibility features in Windows or any of the other operating systems. So, well, actually, no, I shouldn't say that, because I think didn't Apple's
had one they had one to start with, but and actually it's funny, I have an old it's actually sitting in my drawer right now. I have an old Tiger computer. It's running Tiger.
Wow.
2005 airport PC. They call it an airport PC, but it's a Mac.
Right.
And it runs Tiger, and it's got voiceover on it. It's got all the old voices.
Right.
And it works. It's funny because it still works fairly well for its age.
But I just feel like, for so long, JAWS was sort of in a position where they could just charge whatever because they were the only game in town. And they had the ears of all the institutions and stuff, and it was all, I mean, they've just never really had to drop that price point, and they're going to have to soon. They're going to have to do something.
Well, they benefited from their own early innovation, right? They were out there with a good, solid, usable screen reader in the early days, and that created a user base for them. And
the thing that Freedom Scientific has done from the beginning, because if you watch their evolution, you'll see their strategy, right? They started off as Hendra Joyce, Hendra Joyce and Blazy Engineering. And then they merged and became Freedom Scientific. And then they merged again and
became BFO.
Took Arkenstone. And then they merged again. So you see that they're buying out all these big companies. And their whole big strategy is, well, all these AT companies, they're being taken under because there's so many new solutions out there. Well, let's just buy them out and we'll just become the only AT solution.
Right.
And that's really what they've been doing this entire time. That's why they're keeping that price point, because they're like, well, we can do it because eventually we're just going to be the only AT solution, and people that want the only AT solution will pay that price.
Yeah, well, and I think that the other thing that they've got going for them, and Ryan brought this up last week, is that, you have this user base who have spent, like, say, $1,200 on a screen reader. They don't want to give that up, and so they keep plugging in these SMAs where it just, it gives them the new version for the next year, and they just keep buying SMAs because they don't want to
lose that initial purchase price.
Yeah. But I don't know, like, that's only going to carry them so far. And, I guess, that strategy of just buying everybody else up, certainly would work. But the thing that maybe they haven't anticipated was all the baked in accessibility that's getting better and better. And like you said, if Narrator gets to the point where, you can just plug in a PC and not need an add-on screen reader at all, they're screwed.
Well, and it kind of is annoying because I've actually worked with consumers who have Macs And they tell me, they're like, I have a computer already, but the state, they're saying that they won't train them on their own computer because it's a Mac computer.
Right.
And it's like, it has perfectly good built-in accessibility.
Right.
State even has certification for Mac, which I think is funny, that, they will not allow someone who is Mac certified to come in and train someone who has a Mac already. They'll purchase all new equipment for this person who doesn't need it, who already has equipment and could use it if they had the right tools.
Right.
And so I will sit there and tell a consumer, I'll be like, you know what? Honestly, I will train you on this, but you can go in and I will give you this tool so you could go in and learn your own machine.
Yeah, really.
Which state are you operating out of?
I'm in Texas.
In Texas. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, then I've got a question for you. Donald Trump, great president or greatest ever president?
Is this going to go on the record?
Everything you say can and will be held against you.
I can totally edit out anything political.
Well, okay, let's rewind a little bit. Steve said great or greatest president.
Absolutely.
That's positive. That's not a negative
I know,
comment.
right?
I want to say one thing, and Rob, you can edit this out if you want. But one of the guys on the Blue Collar comedy tour lived in Texas and said, we believe in the death penalty. We put in a drive-through and we use it.
Yes, I remember this.
Yeah.
Yes. But see, and what's funny is I honestly don't care if you put this on the record, but I mean, some people might, but I don't. I mean, it's one of those things like, okay, in Texas there are a lot of Trump supporters, but there's also people like Texas is its own country in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like the people around here, if push came to shove, Texas is in it for itself.
Way back when Texas was its own country.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That and they have kept that mentality ever since. I've noticed that since I've moved here, because I've only lived here for a couple of years now.
Well, now and there's some pockets of interesting. I don't know what's the word. I mean, like what part of Texas are you in?
I'm in Denton, so I'm actually in the college town area, right by Dallas.
Okay.
You guys don't know where that is.
No, we don't know where it is. What do we know?
I know they shoot presidents in that area.
No.
Oh, jeez.
I have my editing work cut out for me. But I know, like Austin is like. Are you close?
Austin is about 3.5 hours south of where I live.
Right, because they say Austin is a pretty weird town, and it's not.
Yes. Austin, they literally have a sign in the town that says "Keep Austin Weird."
That's funny.
That's awesome.
I gotta go visit. I like weird.
Okay, now
Denton. One of my friends said that Denton is like a little Austin.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah, we are our own brand of weird, and there's like lots of. It's basically a city with a small town feel. There's lots of small town atmosphere. And a really great square that comes alive at night, but it's got like this. It's definitely a city, but it's got a small town sort of atmosphere.
What size of a town is it?
Ask Google.
Let's see, Alexa. What's the population of Denton, Texas?
The population of Denton, Texas is about 113,000.
Oh, that's a nice size.
Yeah, that is a good size.
Yeah.
Okay, we've gotten completely derailed.
We have.
What the hell were we talking about? Before you brought politics.
You were politicizing screen readers before that.
Don't blame
that's
me.
right.
Don't blame this on me.
We were talking about the monopoly that is Freedom Scientific.
That's right.
Well, they're not a monopoly yet, fortunately.
No, they are. They really are.
I wonder if we'll ever get to the point where, how the EU basically went after Microsoft for bundling Internet Explorer back in the 90s. And there was, they wanted that unbundled. I wonder if that'll ever happen with Freedom Scientific or other companies.
It's pretty different model, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just don't see I don't see how you're going to see Jaws in the form that it's in 5 years. I just don't think they're going to be able to compete. Because you've got NVDA, which is a free screen reader. It's open source. It's getting better and better.
Now, see, NVDA, the only reason that they're not in competition right now, and this is the only reason that I can think of, is because you have organizations like enterprises and governments that say, well, we can't have an open source version of this in our facility.
Right.
And so if NVDA can create a version, and if NVDA people are listening to this, I'm sure they are, if you can create a version that isn't open source and can lock down your code and send it to these organizations, then I could definitely see a free screen reader coming to any organization.
That is something that they should consider doing. Like just having 2 versions of it.
Yeah, because then you wouldn't have the security risk, and if they needed the updates, they could email NVDA directly and get those updates, or NVDA could contact them.
I think the only thing preventing that is that organizations love doing things like spending $1,200 on something when they could get something else for completely free.
Tax write-off.
Yeah. They do love spending money unnecessarily.
Yep.
Well, it's like our school boards here, right? If they don't spend their money by the end of their fiscal year, they lose it. So it's probably the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Freedom Scientific will capitalize on that, and that's what they're hoping for.
Yeah.
Because,
So were you shocked
tax write-offs.
Were you shocked by this latest buy-off that they did? Or not buy-off, but...
acquisition.
No, I really wasn't, because, I mean, I didn't really see, I didn't really see AI squared and Window Eyes and all of that standing on its own. Now, I saw ZoomText standing on its own.
Mm-hmm.
That was doing fine.
Right.
But I didn't see Window Eyes standing on its own very long. And I know that there were a lot of Window Eyes supporters out there, but I found when I was using it, it was really clunky, and there was just a lot of problems with it. So
yeah, they fought the good fight for a while, but
they did.
Yeah, I don't think that aspect surprised me, but I think that the whole AI squared acquisition did kind of take us a little bit by surprise. I don't know, wouldn't you say, Steve?
Yeah, I didn't see it coming.
I am glad, though, that they did choose to fuse the JAWS with ZoomText, because ZoomText had some amazing keystrokes that I found were really good, and I think they took the best of both worlds and kind of meshed them together. So, because I teach low vision people as well sometimes, and I preferred teaching ZoomText to teaching Magic, even though Magic had some of the keystrokes that were equivalent to JAWS, because they dealt less with the mouse pointer with ZoomText and more with the keyboard.
Yeah, we always found ZoomText was a much more popular option than Magic was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I think to a certain extent that's because they were the earlier offering and they developed their user base, so they essentially just became synonymous with large print.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and have you used the new Fusion, ZoomText Fusion?
I have not gotten to use it yet. I may download the demonstration and try it out soon eventually. See how it works.
Yeah, what should be interesting now that it's using JAWS as opposed to Window Eyes.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you this. What's the most enjoyable aspect of working on the podcast?
I actually really love putting together the VIPs and the spotlights. Those are fun, and working with the team. I think getting to work with the team and working with the guests, that's always been the most fun for me. I tend to do things very much off the cuff. I'm not very structured when it comes to organizing things. I will organize show notes, but it's more just a rough guideline for everybody else to go off of.
Right.
So I love being able to take people's energy and go with it, like take the atmosphere of what's happening in that episode and go, okay, well, let's take it this direction. So I do that a lot with the spotlights, and that's worked out really well. Also kind of like the ability to take things in a different direction if I want to. So, if I want to do a how-to article or something and it's on an app that hasn't been really tested before, I get to do that. So it's been nice to have the freedom to do that. I've done that with Goodreads. I've done that with the Amazon registries because nobody's really done that before. So I did that when I created my own registry. I thought, well, let me try doing that so that people know how to do this accessibly.
And do you guys generally just get to float ideas on your own, or do you guys get assignments? How does it work?
We have a team meeting every Sunday, and we bring up ideas. And, we have a weekly contribution that we make. And usually what happens is it's like, okay, if we have an idea, we'll present it for that week. And usually we get the okay to do it. And we submit it by the end of that week, which is usually right before the team meeting. So, I'll bring up, say, I'm supposed to be on the VIP for the coming week. I'll bring that up in the team meeting, and that'll get cleared. And everybody else will bring up their contributions. And if, hopefully there's no duplicates.
In general, like how many hours do each of you sort of put into preparing for, say, a version of the VIP?
Wow. So it really varies. I say I usually will put in a couple of hours trying to find stories and put it together, and then put the show notes together. But all together, I mean, the editors take several hours to edit the VIP once it's done. Because after I'm done hosting or whoever's done hosting, then it goes into post-production editing, which takes quite a long time for a half an hour podcast. So, it could take several hours just for the one show.
Give your editors some love.
Yes.
Love you, man.
Thank you.
Rob's our editor, and all he does is complain about editing.
No, I don't. It's not all I complain about.
Yeah, he complains about several things.
Exactly. Give me some credit.
But he's always got the show ready to go before the end of the week. So.
Absolutely.
No, but I do have to say we're really big fans of the podcast. You guys do a tremendous job, and I mean, you guys do a tremendous job of staying up to date on the ongoing news cycle of any given week. So, yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we're really excited to talk to one of the team for sure.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be a part of this this banter. It's so much fun to kind of get to guest star on another podcast.
I know, right?
It's fun being a part of your own stuff, but it's also great to be a part of other people's stuff. So I love getting to see how everybody else in the podcasting world does things.
It is interesting, and we've talked to a few other podcasts. We talked to Neil Milliken from Access Chat, who they do a bit of a Twitter chat. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but it is really interesting when you're talking to other people in the field who are doing sort of the same thing but sort of different, because what we found anyways is that everybody has a bit of a different take.
Definitely.
And I mean, when I don't know what the experience over at Cool Blind Tech was, but even when we sat down and first started the idea for the podcast, it's turned into something completely different within a few months. I mean, when we first conceptualized it, it was going to be very much a show just about
product and
product.
Tech. Yeah.
But really quickly, we discovered that there was a lot of other interesting stories, more human interest stories, and just
We found out once we stepped out of our nerddom that people are cool.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of amazing people with disabilities out there overcoming their disabilities through technology, and that's the direction we've gone in, and it's pretty amazing so far.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Ours have evolved over the years as well. Even since I've been a part of the team. And beforehand, I mean, I've listened to the Cool Blind Tech podcast before I was a part of the team, and then after, and it's been an incredible evolution process. Just different ideas, different tech, different team members, different ways of doing things. So it's neat to see kind of the evolution process and different shows even too. So
yeah, exactly. And every show has its own voice and brings something else to the community that it serves. And I think that's absolutely important. And that's kind of what we've kind of tried to do, is, you know, give our own voice to different I don't know where I'm going with that. I was just rambling. I kind of lost. You know how you're talking and you just lay. I'm just saying words. I don't know. I've just run out of them. It's like laying the track in front of the train, and it's just like,
I'm done.
I'm on a track.
There's a whole.
The train has been derailed.
That's right. See, and that's, you know what? As an editor, I have to say that is the hardest part. It sucks having to edit yourself.
I was going so wordy there.
Oh, I know. I'm just like, why am I saying so much? Damn it.
Does it ever, like, how do you not get annoyed listening to your own edits? Because I found that really hard to do, listening to my own edits, and then I was like, thank you, I can pass that off to somebody else.
Oh, it's terrible. Some weeks I'm just like, I think I just want to cut myself right out of this podcast. Like, if I could just cut huge swaths out of it and just...
I have a confession to make. I have not listened to a single one of our podcasts all the way through.
Steve.
Not one.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
I don't want to hear us again. I heard us the first time.
I have to listen to us 3 times. I have to listen to it now, and then I have to edit it, and
then I listen to it again before we post it,
just in case I miss something.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, that's the other advantage, though, too, to have a 7-person team. It must be nice to be able to sort of delegate specific tasks out to different people.
See, and it's nice because it's all volunteer. So it's not as much delegating as, okay, who wants to do this?
Right.
And, volunteer. And most of the time you get 1 or 2 people that will edit, and Nelson and Joel, and now Rachel, one of our newer team members, she's also starting to do some editing. There are audio people, and so is James, actually. He's also doing some editing. So we've got a few audio people on the team starting to do some editing.
I think you've got too many. In fact, I think you should throw us one.
Sorry,
all right, who do you want to get rid of?
I will just murder audio because I'm a perfectionist, and I will sit there and I will chop too much out, and I will noise reduce, and I will do way too much to like the audio to where it doesn't sound like audio anymore.
I know, I've done that. I made that mistake in our first couple episodes where we sound like we're underwater in a submarine. It's because I was just like, noise reduction. I don't want to hear a hiss, and then it's all of a sudden, wait, we don't sound human anymore. Like, whoops. I think
and then I kept cutting out like all the ums and all the extra sounds, and I'm like, maybe I should just leave it alone.
Yes. There is you can overproduce something, I've found. It's so true.
Yeah, that was. I spent like hours trying to edit the very first podcast that I ever did because Nelson was like, "Try your hand at audio editing," and I was like, "Okay, I'll try." And then he got my finished product, and he's like, "Don't do that again."
Let's get you writing.
So, are you guys using Audacity or do you use Reaper? What do you guys use?
They use a variety of tools. Some of them use not Audacity, not anymore. I use Audacity to record.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our audio editors use Reaper. At least 2 on the team use Reaper right now. Mm-hmm. Some use Amadeus Pro. Some use let's see. I think those are the main 2 right now that are being used.
Right.
Yeah, we use Audacity. Well, we use Audacity to record, and then I use Audition to to edit.
Oh, okay.
So, now we're getting nerdy. Now we've got listeners just like zoning right out. What the hell are they talking about?
What sampling rate do you use to record your podcast?
Oh, jeez.
We use 4400.
When you export, what file format do you export to?
Which plugin do you find works the best for decompressing your file?
All right. Let's just
We
not
haven't
go
even
there.
got into podcast hosting. What podcast host do you use?
That's right.
I don't
Okay.
even
No,
know.
it's okay.
I don't know the tech.
Okay, well, let's go right to, let's give a shout out to the podcast and let people know where they can find it.
Yes, so you can find us actually on a number of platforms. You can find us by email at cbt@coolblindtech.com. You can find us on our website at www.coolblindtech.com. You can follow us on Twitter at coolblindtech, or you can follow us on Facebook at coolblindtech.
It's okay. We've had the same
Yay,
email.
editing.
We've had the same email address for a year, and every
and that
show.
email address is, Rob?
Okay, well, I'm going to get it now because you put pressure on me. The email address is atbanterpodcast@gmail.com.
Wow.
Somebody took, believe this or not, somebody out there has the email address atbanter@gmail.com. We couldn't,
Really?
yeah, somebody. I don't know who they are. They can burn in hell for all I'm concerned, because they made us create this stupid email address, atbanterpodcast, and we can never get it right, even after a year. Anyway, so yeah.
That is Rob can never get it right,
That's right.
even after a year. The rest
Listen,
of us are fine.
No, not necessarily. I've heard you guys screw it up before. Yeah, and I would encourage anybody out there who has not listened to the Cool Blind Tech podcast or subscribed to their Twitter feed. It's an excellent Twitter feed. It's always up to date with the latest news. The podcast itself is great. I would recommend anybody going out there and hunting them down online.
Yes, we would be excited to have some more listeners, and we also are always featuring fan feedback in our latest VIPs. So if anybody shoots us an email or tweets at us, we are happy to feature any fan mail.
See, there you go. People love to listen to their own emails on the air.
Yep.
Jessica, thanks so much for joining us. It was great talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Awesome, Jessica.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks and take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Cool. Always interesting to talk to another caster.
Yarp.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention somebody who's been in the field almost as long as we have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she started in the womb.
Well, listen, that's a good place to start. I wish my skill set had started in the womb. I didn't do anything in the womb.
No, I can't imagine reading Braille at 3. I can't read Braille now. So.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts?
No, I got to check and see if I've got them on my Twitter feed.
Oh yeah, you should. You definitely should. Yeah,
I think I do, but I'm not 100%.
I'm constantly jealous of their Twitter feed. I'm just like, oh, how did they've already written an article about that, and I just read that.
Yeah, they're pretty quick.
But I mean, that's the advantage of having 7 volunteers who are on top of the game, right? That can monitor all the news and write up articles real quick.
Yep.
It's only the 3 of us, so 4 of us if you count. Okay, Google. Hey.
Hello there. What can I do for you?
Well, you can write us some frickin' articles.
Sorry, I can't help with that yet.
Yeah, see, it's hard to get good help.
It is, yeah.
But she said yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's true, yet. Yeah.
Maybe we can, if they can get that AI algorithm down,
Exactly.
get those neural learning systems down, we can train the Google Home to actually be an employee.
Yeah. Slave labor. I like it.
Robotic slave labor. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it on. Bring on the Daryl Hannah-bot. All right. Hey, Ryan.
Rob.
Where can people find us?
www.
What? What's so funny? We can do it over
You're
again.
funny.
Okay.
Yeah,
What?
do it
Why?
again.
Why am I
Just
funny?
do it again.
All right. Hey, Ryan.
Rob.
Where can people find us?
They can find us online at www.atbanter.com.
And they can also email us if they so desire at atbanterpodcast@gmail.com. And that's because I just practiced it.
That's right.
5 minutes ago.
You got it right.
Yay.
Yay.
Where the hell else can they find us, Steve?
Well, they can find us on the tweets things and the face things and Instagram addicts and YouTubies.
Yes, that's correct. And I got nothing. I got to stop putting these tracks down in front of the train.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? What I've been actually tempted to do too is take an improvisation course.
Yeah.
Right? Improv could definitely help with podcasting.
No doubt.
And it might be fun. We should all do it.
No.
Let's all take an improv course.
No.
I'll do it.
All right. I'll download a book, Ryan. We can all do it in the basement. So you don't. We'll do improv at the Guitar Dungeon. We'll invite Linda. Invite all the spouses, Jackie, and they can
set up a camera, live stream it. We'll Facebook Live it.
There you go.
Or Periscope it.
Yeah, if we want to get really fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Could have a Twitter chat. Forget Access Chat. It'd be live from the Guitar Dungeon. It's
improv.
AT Improv.
Improv banter.
That's right. Okay, you've got a fish and you're a monkey and you're using a braille display. Go.
I hate it already.
All right, fine. Okay, let's get this episode over with, I guess. All right, well then, I guess that's going to do it for us for this week. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next week. I have been Rob Minot.
And I'm sort of Steve Barkley.
And I'm still Ryan Fleury.
And we will see you all next week.
This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions across Canada. Find us online at www.canasstech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com. Or call us toll free at 1-844-795-8324. For all your assistive technology servicing needs, call Chaos Technical Services at 778-847-6840 or find them online at chaostechnicalservices.com. Music provided by bensound.com.